So let's take a look at point 8 here. We know that we are in quadrant 1, and if we rotated it clockwise 90 degrees, we talked about last time it would go from one quadrant to the next, and clockwise would be coming down to the right. And so it's going to wind up down here in this quadrant. It actually lined up right here, but we won't worry about exactly where. We just know if it starts in this quadrant and it's 90 degrees clockwise, it winds up in the next quadrant. Now, if we said let's go 180 degrees clockwise, we can just start counting by 90 degrees. So this would be 90 right here, and clockwise 90 degrees would wind up right here. And so we know that A prime would finish right here. Okay, so we're counting like the squares would be like a 90-degree rotation there. Now, for this one, let's just say A was starting down here in this one, and we want to go counterclockwise, rotating from the center of rotation right here, the origin. We wouldn't be going up here. This would be going clockwise. Instead, we're going to be coming back to the right for counterclockwise, and this is where A prime is going to wind up. And we need this skill so that way I can give you a couple of tricks to use to rotate these objects and points successfully. Another skill that you need to know is about the quadrant signs. And just to review, this is quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. And so when we look at quadrant 1 here, I can see that, for this, from x is 0 all the way out here, these would all be positives. Okay, so these would all be positives. And then for the y values in quadrant 1, it would all be positives for the y values. And so any point in this quadrant would be positive, positive. Your x's would be positive and your y's would be positive. For quadrant 2, you can see that all of the x values would be negative and all of the y values would be positive. And so any point in this quadrant, again, would be a negative x and a positive y. And then we come through and we do the same thing in quadrants 3 and 4. Quadrant 3 would be negative x's and negative y's. And then quadrant 4, it would be positive x's and negative y's. The reason I'm going through and showing it to you like this is I don't want you to just memorize this. I want you to be able to figure it out as needed. Okay, so if you can follow how your quadrant signs are and be able to track how a point would jump to a different quadrant in 90-degree increments, I'll be able to show you how to rotate points of objects in the very next lessons.